License plate reading cameras like flock cameras are used by many police departments as a tool to help solve crimes. But as questions start to grow over privacy and how data is used, some communities are taking a closer look at whether or not to keep them. New at 6 tonight, Samantha Cavalli speaking with flock safety as the debate over public safety and trust continues.
For 3 years, Kaukauna police used flock safety cameras to help solve crimes. But when the city's contract expired at the end of June, Mayor Tony Penterman says they decided not to renew it.
Right around the mid to end of May, the police chief and I started having discussions. We started hearing about inappropriate uses of the flock cameras.
Kaukauna is now one of several northeast Wisconsin communities reconsidering the license plate reading cameras as privacy concerns grow. Those concerns have come up at multiple packed town hall meetings. Another case adding to the debate is out of Menasha, after a former police officer was accused of using the system to search vehicles not connected to an investigation. While some communities are raising concerns about privacy and misuse, Flock Safety says its system includes safeguards to hold users accountable.
From day one, we built the audit tools directly into the Flock platform, and everything is recorded in an immutable audit log.
What is the negative connotation that you guys are seeing?
I think there's a lot of misconceptions on how the technology works, and there's a lot of misinformation out there on exactly what the technology does.
The company says data is stored for 30 days by default, then automatically deleted. Flock also says a new audit assistance program flags unusual or repeated searches to police command staff. The cameras are not meant to track someone's every move, but to give police an investigative lead.
We don't know if that vehicle turned left, turned right, if it stopped somewhere. It really is an investigative lead for law enforcement when they're investigating a crime.
Penterman says losing the cameras can make investigations take longer, with officers relying more on private security or doorbell video.
It's unfortunate because flock cameras are such a great tool for solving crimes. We've solved a lot of crimes in the city of Kaukauna using flock cameras.
For now, Kaukauna says it will look at other options while balancing public safety and public trust. In Kaukauna, Samantha Cavalli, Action 2 News.